losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com, RIDUzone.com. Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you're going to think the same way, as far from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
All things food service, recipes, and restaurants. Spoony.
Hey folks, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, better known as the Food Biz Pro, here on Spoony Radio. We have shows regarding food culture, the restaurant business, consulting services for businesses, startups of all sorts, not just the restaurant industry. We talk about travel, food destinations. It's a lot of food, fun, and family. Mike from the World Food Championships will be coming on, giving us a weekly update on Saturday afternoons on what's new in the world of food sport. Yes, folks, I said food sport. No, it's not where competitors walk into Kitchen Stadium and beat each other to death with a limp fish. It's where you have 2,000 events which lead to the World Food Championships. Join us for the World Food Championship updates every week. Join us on Spoony on the Dash Radio Network, 24/7 Food Talk Radio.
We're not solving all the world's problems, but we're bringing people to the table. Spoony, food and fun.
Hey there! Welcome to Doc's House of Flapjacks on this, a Wednesday, January 30th, in the year of our Lord 2019. And I appreciate you joining me on today's program, Office Cooking. Cooking at the office when you really don't have the tools, the supplies, the equipment, but you're still trying to cook. Hope springs eternal. Also, cucumber sandwiches. Today's list is comfort foods all across the U.S. We're still in the middle of that huge cold snap in the upper Midwest. Comfort foods on a cold, cold day. And we're going to begin today with what the hell happened to Vegas? What happened to Las Vegas? I love that town. My golly, is Vegas ruined. Now, there is some good news about Vegas from a food perspective, from a foodie perspective. The quality of food in Vegas, in some ways, let's say the quality of food service has increased. I mean, you've got some classic chefs there, some world-renowned cuisine finally, but it is so damned expensive. I'm not sure it's worth the trade-off. So I was in Vegas all last week. In Vegas, broadcasting all last week from work. And it's the reason I wasn't on this show. And had an opportunity to sample a bunch of the fare and see Vegas as I haven't seen it in a long time. I lived in Las Vegas from 1992 to 1994, about 2.5 years. And it was July of 92 through December of 94, let's say. And I had a great time. I was a young man. My thoughts had turned to fancy. By that, I mean gambling and picking up women. And it was a great time. I was young. I was in my early 20s, friends, and it was a great time. And I always thought at the time, Vegas, when people would ask, what's Vegas like to live in? I said, it's great if you're young and probably if you're older, but middle age, raising a family, a little lost in Vegas. Not that it can't be done, not that you can't have a nice time, but it's a little lost. I'll give you a simple example. Christmas in Las Vegas for the kids. What? Christmas in Vegas? Right, exactly. Now, I don't just mean Christmas in Vegas from a standpoint of, you know what Santa brought you? Hookers and naked lady cards and gambling and drinking. I don't just mean it from that perspective. I also mean it from the perspective of Christmas lights. If you think about Christmas lights on houses, in Vegas. Yeah, the whole thing. Snow, it's just not very Christmassy. But one of the things Vegas had when I was young, aside from the party scene, is one of the amazing things it had, if you're older, good cuisine, incredible prices. Now, what I'm about to share with you would have to be adjusted for inflation, but still amazing deals. 1993. I go to dinner, late night dinner, let's say around midnight, with about 10 of my friends. It was a party, 8 to 12 of us, somewhere in there. We all decided to go out. All were free at that point. A lot of my friends worked till around midnight. I worked till midnight, so it was a little after midnight. And we went to a local place. I don't even know if it still exists, called Arizona Charlie's. There was a handful of them around, locations around Las Vegas, off the strip. And we went to Arizona Charlie's because they had an amazing overnight breakfast deal. You could get either bacon or sausage, a couple of eggs, and 2 slices of toast. That was one dish. You want bacon or eggs, or excuse me, bacon or sausage, your pick. A couple of eggs and a couple of slices of toast. Or you could get sausage, biscuits, and gravy. Or a stack of a couple of pancakes, 3-5 pancakes with some sort of breakfast meat. And there was like 5 or 6 dishes like this. Each one of them cost 49 cents. Now, this is 1993. So you're talking 25 years ago, whatever. Adjusting for inflation, what is that now? Still $2? It was 49 cents. And that's one of the reasons we went. And the food was great. I picked up the tab. I'm like, I got this, guys. And it was like $8. I got several dishes. I'm like, listen, I want the pancakes dish and the sausage, biscuits, and gravy. And some other people got multiple dishes and a couple of drinks. And it was under $10 for like 10 of us. There was another deal. Back in the day, the Golden Nugget overnight, downtown Vegas on Fremont Street. There was a breakfast buffet of hash brown potatoes, eggs. I think they were scrambled. Toast. There was an array of breakfast, like Danishes and stuff, donuts. You got all you wanted to eat of that, plus 1 strip steak. They give you a little coupon for 1 strip steak. And it was $1.99. I used to go over to the Riviera Hotel and Casino on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip, and Convention Center Drive, conveniently located at the time diagonally across from the Stardust Casino, one of my favorites. The Riviera, I used to do commercials for them. I was their on-hold voice. Thank you for calling the Riviera Hotel and Casino. Somebody will be with you briefly. Please stay on the line. Something like that. And they had a little overnight cafe. Now, the casinos used to work like this. They would have several restaurants and stuff, but they always had at least one place that was 24 hours, and it was usually more of a diner or a cafe. And the Riviera had a place, and it was located up front, closer to the Strip, not, buried in the bowels of the place. And as soon as you walked in, and they had a half a dozen things on the menu, and it was all under like $1.50, $2. And they had a sweet and sour chicken dish that I would go to specifically, and it was fan-friggin-tastic. Now, I learned about all these places and many more from a friend of mine who grew up in Las Vegas. And he's like, breakfast, Riviera, let's go. I learned about all of them. In fact, when we used to go to the Golden Nugget, they had validated parking in their parking deck. Otherwise, you'd have to pay a couple of bucks. All you had to do is take your little receipt, chikink, and stamp it at the front desk. They had a little automated machine, and no one knew about it. But the bottom line was, it was good food. Maybe even in some cases, great food. But it was cheap. And if you were willing to get off the Strip or away from downtown to the local places, man, was it cheap. So I moved away in the end of the year of 1994. And a few years later, I went back, probably 4 or 5 years later, saw all the changes, and it was neat. Went back another 4 or 5 years later, a couple times. And then I went to visit in 2014, 15, somewhere in there. And I was like, wow, Vegas has changed quite a bit. But I didn't spend enough time on the Strip because I was out there for a wedding and a business meeting to really absorb what's going on. So I don't know how gradual or how sudden this is. But I tell you this, if I know anything, there is no way most people can afford a trip to Las Vegas now and stay on the Strip and eat the food that's on the Strip. It's done. It's over. The magic is gone. I cannot believe what I'm about to tell you. I still cannot. And Chef Patrick Mosher is joining me as well. He'll be up for his show in about 45 minutes from right now. Chef Patrick, a buddy of mine, you know him. We'll call him Tom because his name is Tom. He and I we were at a convention at the Sands Expo and Convention Center that was connected to the Venetian. It used to be, the Sands is where the Venetian is where the Sands was. We went and halfway through the midday went over to the Venetian and got a couple of slices of pizza each. They're big slices, like big piece of pie. It was $45.
That's a big slice of pizza.
It wasn't that big. It was whatever. Like, what are the big pieces? Like a 16? No, probably a little bit bigger than that. 18-inch pizza. They're like the ones in New
18
York.
or 24-inch slice, piece, and then you get 1/8 of that. So that's a big slice. That's like 7-8 inches wide at the top. Yeah.
Now for two people or for a person, 2 slices, most people is going to be plenty. For me, I need about 4 more, but that's a different story. It was $45. Now, granted, we did get a bottle of water,
and you got 2 slices each.
4 slices. That's a half a pizza and a bottle of water.
Wow, that's $8 a slice.
$45. Now, I've gotten slices like that in Manhattan, one of the most expensive places on the planet. And you can find, the slice guys, it's a similar formatted or own place, $1.99 in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. Pizza's the cheapest thing to eat in Manhattan.
Yeah. I mean, if you get really good and you go off the Strip, it's like $3-4 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
It was double expensive pizza. You can get hot and ready for $5. I was blown away, and I was like, okay, everything was like that, Patrick. There's nothing inexpensive.
Well, there are a couple of reasons, right? On the Strip, rents are higher.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that's a small factor. The other factor is that they don't have to offer cheap meals to get you to go anymore.
They don't.
No. That was a draw back in the day.
I don't even think it was... it was a draw, but I think they just accepted if none of us do it, and maybe it wasn't coercion, they just kind of learned it. If none of us are doing it, hey, guess what? People are still coming and gambling.
Well, when not only that, it's a captive audience. Where else are they going to go?
And I think that you're right. They also learned that, because if you're already on the Strip, most of the time you're not going to travel.
You're walking, right?
Yeah.
You see a Starbucks, you were talking about the price of Starbucks out there is like double of everywhere else.
Double, easy.
Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? You're going to wait and find another Starbucks 15 blocks off the Strip? You're just going to order it there.
Oh, and by the way, you see, I'll just go to the resort that's next door. The Mirage is right there.
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes later. It's still, the Mirage is
3 days later.
3 days later. It's still, I'm getting real close. Oh my gosh. So I think they also realize, Patrick, that they can actually make money off of the food, and it doesn't deter people from gambling in their casino. Again, It used to be a draw. I'd go there. They lose money on the $1.99 steak, but they make it up when I put $30 on the hard line or the hard ways. Yeah,
but nowadays, so the high end gamblers, they get $50 meal vouchers and $200 meal vouchers depending on how much you spend in the casino. But now you have to offset that as well,
and even
so you have to subsidize that.
Yeah, and even that though, the model has changed. Harrah's in the early 2000s came up with this. The CEO of Harrah's was a genius. Harrah's was a smaller casino on the Strip, kind of like a womp womp. Also ran, nestled between good, big, important casinos. And the CEO did a bunch of things right. He really pushed those member programs, right? You gamble more, you get stuff.
Frequent flyer kind of.
Right. Used to be, if the pit boss came over and you knew somebody and you were connected and whatever, you've been gambling a long time, I'll give you a voucher. You go over and eat something. It's okay. Paulie's over, they'll take care of you, like this. Well... Then he said, why doesn't everybody get paid? And it was a mathematical formula. The CEO, and I can't remember his name, was a math guy. And he said, we've determined that X amount of gambling equals X amount of yields for the casino. Therefore, we can give certain percentage of that back to the people. Therefore, we've determined that if Patrick Mosher gambles about this amount for this long, he will win 14 reward points, which is equal to $32 or whatever it was. It was math. And everybody loved it. I'm gambling. I'm getting something extra. And even that has gone away quite a bit. So then the obnoxiousness of the people on the strip. They've always handed out those little naked lady cards. That's fine. Now it's like Times Square where you've got all of these characters out there going, take a picture with me. And then you take the picture and they're like, yeah, it's $12 or $5 or $180.
$20.
$20, same as downtown. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you've already taken it and then they pressure you into, well, you've got to delete it. I'll delete it. No, you already took it or whatever. It's the same thing in Manhattan with the women with the paid-in-on bras or Cookie Monster, right? It's just not fun. Now, I was really upset by this because Vegas, I know you can never go back again, but Vegas always held this little special place in my heart. Maybe it's like the end of Biloxi Blues with Matthew Broderick. If you ever see the movie?
Yeah, I have. Africa Hot. It's so hot.
It's so hot. It's Africa Hot. At the end of the movie, he does this monologue and he said, I didn't appreciate those guys that I was in basic training with at the time. He said, I didn't like it. In fact, he goes, there was nothing to love about a war. He said, but now when I look back, I love every damn one of them. And I love them for the most selfish reason of all. Because I was young. And so some of that's always there for me. But it's also the death of something iconic. I get change and change is fine. But they moved from something, what they lost does not exist anywhere else anymore. And it could. I guess that's my frustration. Now, downtown still had a little bit of that. We went downtown one night, Fremont Street, which I still bitch about the canopy, but that's a different story. And it was cheaper down there, but still amazing. And it's a good business lesson aside from the food there. They realized we can charge more for food.
Mm-hmm. Well, and now I realize the buffets and the inexpensive dinners used to be really good, but I have to say the level of food in Vegas is completely different than what it was 20 years ago.
Sure.
There are a lot of great restaurants there.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's finally a lot more restaurants that are not casino related, even if they're in a casino.
Yeah, you have a lot of celebrity chefs that have restaurants there.
My God, I have got to find out who Gordon Ramsay's agent is.
He's got restaurants all over.
Let me explain. Gordon Ramsay is amazing. He really is amazing. And I got late on the Gordon Ramsay train because the first commercials they showed was him just screaming F you at people in the kitchen. Which is,
bleep,
right,
bleep.
Which is one part of chefery. It is.
Yes, we don't admit
they teach
it.
that, but it is. Yeah. But Gordon Ramsay seems, from all the other stuff, like he really wants to help people, and he knows his craft. He knows his craft.
And it's his name on everything.
Right. And God bless him for being successful. Does he have a restaurant in every damn casino?
Pretty close. Mm-hmm.
Everyone I went in, I was like,
Where do you think they employ all the people that win his shows?
It's amazing. It is amazing to see how many restaurants he has there.
It's crazy.
I was like...
Did you see Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah, right out on the street next to Caesars. Yeah.
I've never been in. I would love to go eat there.
Now, they don't do a show there, do they?
They do, actually. But they also, but it's a functioning restaurant the rest of the year. I've heard the food is amazing.
Does he have other places that he shoots? Or is that the place?
Just that one.
Has it always been there?
The Hell's Kitchen? Yeah, I believe so.
I did not know that. I would have gone over.
Now, I could be wrong because I've never been on the set, but I believe from Janelle Wood, if you're listening, she won 2014 season, 2014, 2015. Janelle Wood from Houston. I will ask her, but I'm sure that's the only one. Yeah,
fantastic. But it's times change. I get that or whatever. We did get to a couple local places as well. I went to Hash House of Go-Go, which the quality of food at Hash House of Go-Go is so good.
I saw when we were, I was on the opposite coast at a different venue, but in a casino as well. Did you, and they had a Hash House of Go-Go there as well.
Oh, really? Okay. So they've really expanded.
Do you remember the old Rosewood Inn? It was built, when they built the Venetian, they built the Venetian around it. It was an old steak and lobster place that was freakishly expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there
We were there once. It was a wedding.
Yeah.
And I think there were about 12 in the wedding party. And the bill was like, this was in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And the bill was something like $2,800 or $3,800. And that was, everybody had one drink, no bottles of wine.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Was it good?
It was very good.
Okay.
And they had a lobster called Rosie. And they would wheel Rosie out. Rosie was giant. Rosie was like a 25-pound lobster.
Nice.
They would wheel her out on this cart. You could see Rosie, and they wouldn't sell her though. People would offer $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. They would not sell her. Mm-hmm. And well, most lobsters, when you keep them that long, they die. They stop eating when you take them out of the ocean.
Okay.
But for some reason, she just kept on going.
Wow. Amazing stuff. You know what we should do? We should do a segment. We've got so many ideas for this platform. It's going to be so good.
We should start eating lunch before we do the show, so I'm not starving every day.
Yeah. No, there are these iconic local restaurants. I don't mean just local restaurants like Greasy Spoons. There's a fantastic number of those around the country still, or little pizza place or whatever. That's fine. But the iconic go-to upscale anniversary birthday party, you know what I mean?
Fred's
in Bentonville.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Dayton. I lived in Dayton, Ohio for a number of years and just never got to, and I'm pissed that I didn't, called the Pinewood.
Pinewood.
Pine House. Pine. I think it's the Pinewood. Sounded Pine Club. Yep, I think it's the Pine Club. And we just never made it over, but it was kind of like the thing to do.
Yep, the Pine Club.
There
in
it
Ohio.
That would be a really cool segment to do. Have people call in.
Peter Luger's in New York, right?
Yeah, and that became. Are there other branches of that now, or other?
I don't think so. And it's cash only.
Wow.
Yeah.
Peter Luger's, by the way, you say steakhouses.
Oh man,
right?
They set the bar.
Yeah.
They really. Set the bar.
That would be really amazing, but. Yeah, it was interesting. Now, there is an Italian restaurant right off the strip, right near the convention center. So the convention center is at the corner of Desert Inn and Paradise. Paradise runs parallel to the strip off to the east. And it's only a few blocks off. It separates them. But on that road that connects them, it's called Convention Center Drive. Between those two, there is a little restaurant, Italian restaurant, south side of the road. And I can't remember what it's called, but the food is very good, run by some old New Yorkers from, 30 years ago. Paulie started it, like that. Maybe even like 50 years ago. And it's very good. When I was there 5 years ago, we popped in. It was 5-6 years ago. Don Rickles was having dinner and Pia Zadora was performing in this small little.
So Pia Zadora is still alive?
Yeah,
wow.
And she was singing in an Italian restaurant.
In Vegas, no
Still
less.
Still performing, though.
I thought she was living on the streets in L.A. or something.
Patrick,
that was a really bad joke. I'm sorry, Pia. You were very, very important during my formative years.
She was saucy, you know what I'm saying?
She was a little, risque.
Patrick, when we walked out of the place, and again, this was only like 5-6 years ago, they still had matchbooks with their logo and stuff. Those have not been a thing for 15 years, 20 years. So it was kind of old school.
Where was I the other day? I was somewhere, it was in Saratoga Springs, New York, the Adelphi Hotel. It's kind of this iconic building downtown. Mm-hmm. It's got these big pillars and very small patio. It's white. It's like white marble. It's really classic. And Saratoga has the oldest horse track in the United States that's still functional, second oldest ever built. And it's been there since, I wish I knew when it was built. It's at least 130, 140 years old.
Wow.
Anyway, I was there with my niece and my brother a couple of nights ago, and they had not matchbooks, but matchboxes.
Oh, wow.
And they're the same ones they've had forever.
See, that is, when I said it, all of a sudden I got this like wave of nostalgia. I can't think of too many things that instantly give you a nostalgic feel than if you were to think about or see a movie where somebody walks out of a restaurant and they have a matchbook and they write someone's phone number and important address down on it.
I know it's always on a matchbook.
Right. And they flip it over and it says, the Pine Club, Dayton, Ohio, right?
So now what do they do? They write on the back of it like a vaporizer, e-cig or something? I mean, on the inside of the box for an e-cig?
Well, I mean, it would be near the cigarette machine, right in the little vestibule as you walked in, next to the hat check girl. I mean, how iconic is that simple thing? Not only are matches not a thing, but matchbooks that are logoed from a restaurant.
So our children, when they watch a movie, that wasn't made in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Do they even think of, like, why would they write something on a matchbook? What is, I mean, would they even recognize it?
No, it's incredible. But it hit me as I said it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so iconic by itself. Really cool. So all in all, you go to Vegas, I'd head downtown. That's probably going to be better for you right there. And I'm sad to see a little bit of go, a little bit of it's personal, a little bit of it's more of a professional thing. I got to spend a moment and talk about office cooking. That's another show Patrick and I are focusing on. What do you do if you're in an office and you don't have a stove? A lot of people don't. A lot of them, at best, you have a microwave, at best. Sometimes you'll have a refrigerator, but a small one.
Yeah, we're lucky we have a crock pot and we have a electric skillet back there. By the way, I brought a whole 30 crock pot cookbook.
Oh, cool. So a lot of people are not going to be able to have, even if you can buy one, an electric skillet at work. It's not going to be. It's going to be an office faux pas. You may be able to get away with a crock pot, but why bother? You could just bring the leftovers, something like that. It's going to be pressure cooker would be better. But what can you do with really just a microwave and some basic, one knife, a place to cut, even if it's not a cutting board.
You can buy those little mats, the little plastic mats. Mm-hmm.
Because, you can make stuff up ahead of time, but sometimes you forget, what can you stock up on? What can you do? We're going to get a quick break in, and then we're going to come back and talk about just a couple of simple things Patrick and I have done recently. Something I stumbled on. It's so simple, but I think that's kind of the genius of it, if you can call it that. We'll do that coming up next on Doc's House of Flapjacks. Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you're going to think the same way, as for from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
It's a funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Doc's House of Flapjacks on Spoony.com. So what do you do if you want to be prepared in an emergency in your office to cook and not ruin a diet? If you want to eat healthy, if you want it to be a little more fresh and you're not just taking leftovers, what are some of your options? Well, this is something Patrick and I struggle with all the time because, number one, we like to cook and we really don't have the facility for it. But the other thing is we quite often forget and, we want to be able to eat something a little more healthy without running out. And then finally, we don't always want to prepare ahead of time. As far as like, okay, I cooked all weekend and I made sure to bring the leftovers. I have this really bad habit of saying, oh, I'll get to that. I don't have to bring the leftovers. I'll figure something out. What am I going to figure out? All I do is get to work and go, damn it, why didn't I take a moment and do this, right?
Well, the thing, we're at work all the time now. So
That's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we have a 6 hours in a day to prep on Sundays for the rest of the week.
So here's what I've come up with, and this is so stupidly simple. Obviously, you could cook with anything canned. Anything you have a can, you can open up the jar, heat it in the microwave. But how about this? I have moved away from avoiding carbs at all costs. Instead, I've realized yet again, it's about balance. Some carbs are good. Keep them to, a minimum. Make sure they're good carbs, like whole grains or potatoes. Potatoes are healthy for you if you don't French fry them and eat 1,000 of them, right?
I love potatoes.
They are actually healthy, especially if you're eating the skins, right? So a little bit of those go a long way. But here's what I've begun to do. I have purchased just a handful of items that I use in so many different ways. One of them is a bag of potatoes. Easy to keep those in a drawer at work, in the kitchen, right? You can cook them in the microwave pretty easy. Just, poke them with a fork a few times so they don't explode in there.
Ow.
Does that actually happen?
No, they don't explode, but it does allow the steam to come out, so they don't steam.
Okay.
It's more like a roasted, it's drier and flakier inside.
Okay, cool. So you can do that. I keep a dozen eggs or so in the refrigerator because eggs you can make a bunch of different ways. And yeah, you can make. I had a friend of mine here at the studio the other day go, did you make those eggs in the microwave? It's like, yeah. I mean, fried eggs don't work because you're not frying, but you can make scrambled eggs pretty easy. The key is with the scrambled eggs, literally you just whip them up in the bowl, put them in the microwave if you don't know this. They cook a little unevenly. That's the problem. So keep stirring. So stop after 30 seconds, a minute when you start seeing them, cooked around the edge. Stir that back up into it and do that a couple of times. But the other thing I realized, keep a little stock of your basic seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder as well. Keep those in the office in a little drawer. And that alone is going to give you quite a bit of depth. Well, because you can make scrambled eggs in the morning when you get to work. You can make potatoes, right? You got those two things going. You can make potato and eggs. But with a couple of other little additions, you can eat healthy and great. I can't believe I've never thought about this, but I went and bought several bags of frozen vegetables. A mixed vegetable with corn, carrots, and green beans. One of chopped kale, one of chopped broccoli, and one of Brussels sprouts. Split cut Brussels sprouts just in the freezer. I looked at the prices when I was buying those. I got the off-brand Walmart, Great Value, whatever it's called. 88 cents each. And I'm going to get 2-3 meals out of those. Keep them in the freezer. So in the morning, I get up after my little show. I have a show in the morning. And I'll make scrambled eggs with vegetables in them. So I'm getting the vegetables, either chopped kale or the mixed vegetables. And we keep a bottle of sriracha. Little sriracha on top. I'm good to go. It's protein and vegetables for breakfast. I didn't have to worry about any starch. Right? It's good. Now, if you also want the starch in the morning, all you have to do is cook the potato with it. Potato cooks, especially if they're smaller, in a few minutes. Cut it up, put it back in with the eggs, vegetables, stir it up, and you're good to go. And it's pretty tasty. Patrick and I have a picture because we keep a little grated cheese.
Hey, that one that we did turned out beautiful. I'm going to post that picture. That's why I had my phone out.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. So I did that. I got some other vegetables. I didn't realize how cheap frozen vegetables are.
And actually they are very inexpensive compared to fresh because you got to think they gather them up at the peak of the harvest and they process them right there. And they don't store indefinitely, but they store for quite a while. And so, the price point's way lower. And for a lot of vegetables, the nutritional value is pretty close. It's a lot less than canned. I mean, it's a lot greater than canned, a little less than fresh.
But so I got some of the smaller bags of the Walmart off Great Value brand. Mm-hmm. They're the smaller ones, but they were 88 cents.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I spent like $5 and I got a freezer full of mixed vegetables.
Can they do that with fruit now? Frozen fruit?
Why is that?
It's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like them for smoothies.
Yeah. So, I've been focused on this, and it's pretty easy, and it's tasty if you got sriracha. I don't use a lot of cheese because there's the added calories, but it's a nice little treat now and then to throw some cheese on, and it keeps in the refrigerator. So, it has worked out pretty well. And think of the variety. So, the other night, I was working late and wanted a little something to eat, trying to eat healthy. I made a bowl of Brussels sprouts. Made that, had a little bit of vinegar here, hit it with the vinegar, a little balsamic vinegar down in the cabinet, and this stuff just keeps. Now, granted, we have a little cabinet in the kitchen, and all we have is a microwave aside from Patrick's other stuff, but all I'm using is the microwave. And I just keep it down there, and it was good to go. Worked out great. And then it's not like, well, I'll go and get cookies from the vending machine. It's been fantastic for us. So, yeah, you can do it. Now, something I want to touch on before we move on to the list today is, and I'm going to need Patrick's help with this because I saw a regular listener, Vika, sent us it was a tweet. Yep. She said it's a recipe, Welsh American cucumber sandwich spread. I've never heard of such a thing. I don't know if it's really Welsh, but it sounds awesome. It's sandwich spread. Listen to this. It's very simple. 2 ounces of cream cheese, warmed so it'll stir. 2 ounces of mayo. 1 teaspoon of dill. Mix together, spread on sandwich, add sliced cucumbers for final touch.
Cucumber sandwich.
I have only had cucumber sandwiches one time, and I made them. I worked at a restaurant when I was a teenager, and we were doing a very upscale wedding.
Tea sandwiches.
They were little tea sandwiches, and I remember...
Did you cut the crust off?
We did, and you have to use a serrated edge knife. You cannot press down on it to have it smash the bread. So it was pretty much that without the cream cheese, and they were fantastic.
They really are good.
So why aren't there more vegetable sandwiches like this? We always think of a sandwich, and listen, I love meat, don't get me wrong, but it's calorie heavy, and cucumber is going to be awesome for you. Why are there not more?
I think we've just we've gotten into this.
Is it a girly sandwich? Is that why?
No, I think we've gotten into this this thought process. We kind of pigeonholed ourselves into thinking it has to have meat, vegetable. If there's, but that's lettuce and tomato and onion more than likely. Maybe avocado and then cheese. I mean that's.
There's a restaurant in Rogers, Arkansas. Right near, just up from
Where's
Fayetteville.
that? I'm joking.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas. It's called Ham and Trees. Have you been there?
Oh my goodness, man!
It's downtown. And they do a lot of grilled cheese typey stuff,
like gourmet adult style grilled cheese sandwiches.
Fantastic, folks. The stuff is
really
awesome.
Good.
But they have several that focus more on other things in the sandwich, not just meat. A lot of the sandwiches have meat too, and you can mix and match. But they have a lot of them where it's like, and I'm just throwing this out there. All right. You get some sliced green apple and some microgreens and an avocado. Actually, doesn't sound that bad.
It doesn't. It doesn't sound bad. Well, I mean, the grilled cheese I had on the air with them one time. I mean, it was
golly,
brie.
Patrick, what was that?
So it was. I used potato bread, which has a little bit better texture, right? So I toasted that in Kerrygold butter. And
is Kerrygold butter that much better?
I just like heavy butter, that really nice, rich Irish dairy is a little different than here.
And real quick as a side, I love that we're getting back to cooking with butter and we're not afraid of it.
Oh yeah, no,
it's fantastic.
Look how long Julia Childs lived.
Yeah,
she lived on wine and butter.
Well, and again, you use it as a you're balancing everything.
It's a flavoring, and yeah.
I use it as a flavoring quite often. So if I make an omelet, as I'm finishing up, I'll throw a small little pat of butter so it gets on both sides of the omelet. It's fantastic. Anyways, you were saying.
No. So it was. So I used brie, and the way I make those is I don't wait for the brie to melt between the piece of toast. It takes too long. So I cut the brie thin, and I toast the bread in the pan, and then I place the brie on top and I stick it in the oven.
Oh, so
but you take the top, you leave the tops out.
Melt it, right?
Yep. And then you so while that's melting in the oven or under the broiler, carefully, then I made a salad. So I sliced some green apple, Granny Smith apple, and then I took baby mixed greens and I added some frisee in there, and I had that apple. What was it? Apple fennel vinaigrette. And that was it. And I tossed the greens in that. put them on top of the apple, and then when the cheese was melted, took it out, sliced it up, and
that's
away
fantastic.
you go.
One of the things, and that gets back to one of the other things that I've stressed a bunch of times, is the balance between textures, flavors, salt, sour, acid, sweet, all of those balances. I mean, yeah, can you add light things? Sure, plenty of light things that are good, but you really want to head in the right direction with stuff. So that sandwich had a crunchy grilled bread, that texture flavor, right, with brie, creamy cheese, not a ton of flavor, right? Subtle,
rich.
Fruit, but rich, and fruit often goes with brie. So then you had the acid of the apples and the vinaigrette, and then the sweet from the apple. Fantastic, folks. I'm not kidding. That is one of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
Thank you. It was really tasty. I mean,
it was, and you got raves from all kinds. Pat, our friend Pat, and others.
Yeah,
amazing
Pat, I mean, that's
stuff.
his favorite thing is a grilled cheese sandwich. And when he said that was the best, I was pretty proud at that moment.
It really was, and man, we just think about how healthy that is too. Remember,
I mean,
carbs don't do it.
There was not a ton of butter on there. I actually melted the butter in the pan and just kind of swirled it around and then put the bread in instead of smearing it on the bread.
So I want to focus more about these because again, I'm not fearing carbs as much anymore. I'm trying to steer away or steer back towards them, but healthy and still in moderation. And man, that's just such a great way to go, and it's so tastes so good.
I mean, it's really good. It's classic, right? You have apple and cheese. And then you had the greens, which the greens don't add a lot. It's just a different texture, and it's cool, like cold rather. And then you have the acid from the dressing, and the crunch.
So why there are certain flavors that come and go. They come in and out of favor. We know this, and one of the ones that seems to be out of favor for a long time, unless I've missed something, and I love it, is dill.
I love dill, man. Oh, is it out of favor now?
You just don't you don't see people lead with it.
No, I mean, you see it once in a while, but you're right. You don't see a lot of like salmon with white wine dill sauce.
You don't even see that anymore, really, do you?
No.
It's more like the pecan-crusted maple, right? Because we're heading more of a sweet thing.
Or Jack Daniel's, Daniel's barbecue glaze.
More glazy stuff.
Yeah, bourbon glaze.
When I was a kid, my mom had tried to cook everything, and almost all of it was great, with the exception of a few. She had even made baked bread a few times, and she made dill bread one time that was fantastic, but I got to tell you what happened. So she put it in some sort of bread pan, and she put the little loaves in there, and I don't know what she did wrong, but she got the yeast wrong, and it ballooned up. Thank God she had it on a lower rack, so it didn't hit the top. Patrick, these were like Fred Flintstone size slices of bread.
I wonder if she had doubled it up or something.
Something like that. They were, if you think of a normal size slice of bread, if we had just cut the loaf, it was like 4 times that size. And it was dill bread. So it was just like a white bread, and with dill throughout it. And it was fantastic.
It sounds good.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic stuff. So I'd like to see us cook again more with dill. I think
it's a very inexpensive. I mean, most herbs are the same price per pound if you go to a store that sells them by the bunch or by the unit, right?
I wonder what else other applications for dill. Of course, you always see it things that are pickled. You see it, like I said, some of the bread or some sauces. Occasionally a spread like this.
Well, so you could make a gravlax, a homemade gravlax. You can buy a side of salmon. Gravlax is the Scandinavian version of lox or smoked salmon. Cured salmon.
Interesting. Okay, Chef Patrick, all across the upper Midwest and middle part of the country, Great Lakes region, it is cold today.
It was cold. It was 7 degrees when I left Saratoga Springs on Monday morning.
Some of the temperatures, Chicago, -20 today. Not 20 below freezing, -20.
God bless you, all my friends up there.
52 degrees below freezing. That's the type of cold where everything feels dead outside. If there's no wind, it just feels...
Sound doesn't travel.
It doesn't travel. It's dead. It's weird.
You ever been in 50 below?
Oh, I have.
You can spit and hear it crackle as it flies down to the ground.
Yep. I was working in temperatures like that in a cabin doing some construction work for my folks one time. And, of course, me and the guys had some beer. And we were on the upper floor, and somebody spilled a beer, and it kind of went over the balcony. And I went down to clean it up, and by the time I got downstairs, it was frozen on the floor.
Man, that's those temperatures where you throw you ever seen the videos where they throw the hot water out
and it's gone.
And it kind of vaporizes and turns into snow?
Yep. It's incredible. So on those days, what do you think of when I say let's just stay in and eat something warm, something comforting? What comes to mind when I say that? Because for me, it's not going to be spicy. It's something rich, and there's probably going to be carne.
First thing comes to mind for me,
Go.
beef stew.
That's a go-to for me as well. Some sort of thick, a thicker soup as well. More of like the cream soups, like a chicken noodle.
Split pea.
All those great split peas a go-to.
Yeah.
So I would say the first couple of things that come to mind of what I want for a comfort, rich, warming food. Here you go. Ready? Chili, which is a little more spicy, but I love good chili. Beef stew is probably number one. Split pea soup. If I go any other soup, it's probably going to be like a tomato bisque type.
Ooh, I love tomato. Just tomato soup in general, or like a minestrone.
Minestrone, maybe, yeah.
It's got to have a little pasta, but it's got to be a little thicker than
pasta visual.
Ooh,
because you got the beans in that. A little off course, but that. Maybe a hearty pasta dish, spaghetti, meatballs, or meat sauce, something like that. Those would be go-to. Or, and I think I've discussed this on the air before, my mother-in-law makes what is basically an American beef stew, but with yellow curry in it, and she ladles it over rice. And it's a Korean thing, and quite often it'll be served with kimchi, and it is fantastic.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's very comforting, whatever. Let's go to some of the classic. This is our list of some of the best classic.
Hey, you got a comment here, by the way, Doc.
What do you got?
Rocco Stucci saying, Doc, when can I come down and cook with the Spoony crew?
Oh my gosh, Rocco, come down here, buddy. Come down. We'll get him up there. The name like Stucci, I'm guessing there's some Italian food better be on its way, because if I had to pick the best cuisine in the world, it would be difficult for me not to put Italian number one. And the rivals to that would be some French cuisine. Selfishly, personally, I also love Korean or American soul food. Those are my go-tos. But Italian is probably number one.
You have to love Korean. You don't have a choice.
It's true. Yeah. But I would Italian is probably number one. Okay, some of the classic comfort foods. This is today's list on Doc's House of Flapjacks. King Ranch chicken casserole.
Ooh.
Now, this is the, you've probably seen similar chicken casseroles. We had one growing up that was broccoli and cheese and chicken in a, you put like kind of a can of soup type thing with it and you bake it, but you top it with dressing, stuffing.
Yep.
Do you remember that? That was really popular for a while?
So that's King Ranch?
That's one that I said I grew up with. But
so
King Ranch,
so King Ranch is right here in Texas.
Yeah, and that's where they get this from. So it's onions, peppers, chicken, cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, chili powder, garlic powder, pepper, corn tortillas, and shredded cheese. All of that into a casserole. So it's
that sounds delicious.
It's a casserole with a Tex-Mex spin, right? It's kind of how you look at it.
Yeah. Delicioso.
I forgot about casseroles on a day like today.
Oh,
easy chicken and dumplings. This today's list from Southern Living, comfort foods from Southern Living. Chicken and dumplings. My mom used to make a bunch of different types of dumplings, and one of the ones she would make in a creamy sauce. So it was like kind of almost like a sausage biscuits and gravy kind of gravy. It was almost like that, like a thick, almost a chicken a la king type thick, like that.
Yeah, thick. Yeah.
And she'd have shredded chicken, and she would make very cakey dumplings. It was kind of a Bisquickie one, and they were, about the size of a golf ball. And the outside would get all gooey from the sauce, the gravy type, but the inside stayed very cakey. So what was awesome is you could bust those things open, and it was almost like a sausage biscuits and gravy, but with chicken.
Ooh,
and not that
pasty delicious
stuff you get at the chain stuff.
Yeah.
But she also made dumplings that were more chewy, almost in the vein of a spatzel, but thick.
Yeah, so basically rolled dumplings is what those are. They basically take a biscuit dough or a it's not a biscuit, but a dumpling dough, and they roll it flat and
noodly.
They slice them into lengths. That's how they do it in Texas. I've never had that before.
So it was like it was almost like you got think of a noodle like a rigatoni or something that's kind of chewy, but if it was like a cube. Not perfectly formed, but like a cube, maybe like the size of a standard Lego block, something like that. And it was fantastic. That would be a great one to have on a cold day, right?
Oh, I mean, that's one of my favorites.
And by the way, anything that Mom used to make, it's probably going to be comfort food. Fried green tomatoes on a day like today. Oh man, fried green tomatoes. A lot of people don't like them; they're sour. You have to get them done well. There are so many fails when it comes to fried green tomatoes. Here's a little tip for you. See the motion I'm making? If you're not what, put some salt on there, a little bit of pepper, maybe some. Don't fear the salt and pepper on fried green tomatoes, right? And by the way, you can spice those bitches up too. You could, right?
You can actually. So
chili powder or
a little cayenne maybe, or maybe. Actually, I like chipotle better. It's a little smoky. So when you have a dry wash, the egg wash, and then another dry wash when you bread stuff, right? So in that first dry wash, that's what's closest to the whatever you're breading. So that has to be seasoned. A lot of salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, whatever herb you're going to put in there, and then you have to put whatever chipotle or
because cayenne. Listen, the tomatoes are sour. You need a little balance there, the crunch, the whole thing, right? By the way, did you ever make, or did anybody ever make that standard chicken and rice casserole where you basically put a chicken breast, sometimes bone in, some without. I've heard that
with rice
in rice, and you bake it and use a can of mushroom soup or anything like that.
Or you can use the cream. What is it? Cream chicken.
Yep, any of those, any of the cream soups with chicken, and you put the rice in there and you bake it. It's fantastic. Again, usually still have to maybe not so much the salt, but pepper it up. You got to check the sodium of the cans. They're usually pretty sodium heavy. That's an easy comfort thing, and a lot of the ingredients you're going to have in your home already. If you want to try that, I would encourage you to use Spoony Wild Rice. Just go to SpoonyWildRice.com. It's Minnestalgia Wild Rice. It's wild rice from the North Woods of Minnesota, and it's fantastic. Keep this on your in your pantry or in a cabinet, and if you keep it sealed, it's an emergency food. It'll last forever. You keep that thing sealed, it'll last forever. So I keep a jug of that unopened, and then as I crack it open to make it, I just order another one and keep it there. It tastes great. You can eat it by itself, but you can also apply it to some of these classic dishes. Go to SpoonyWildRice.com. Your family is going to love it. It's going to make you feel so good. You bust that out, and it can be as simple as you throw a pat of butter in the pan with it once it's cooked. Salt, pepper, garlic. That can be it. And it's not just a starch. It's almost a complete protein.
It is a complete protein.
Is it?
Actually, it is, yes.
Complete protein by itself and naturally gluten and cholesterol free. But here's what I love to do with it. What else do I have in the refrigerator? What vegetables do I have? I start with that in the pan, then I go, do I want to do more of this direction, that direction, how spicy? Onions, anything left over? It's a good way to clean out your pantry or your refrigerator. What vegetables so they don't go bad? Chop them up, throw it in, almost like a stir fry. What proteins do you have? You got chicken left over in a little bit? Just throw it in. I've had chicken and beef and seafood, various combinations, and it's great. It works well together. Go to SpoonyWildRice.com. It's going to be great for you. And use it in some of those classic dishes, even though it's more of a wild rice. That's one of the dishes here. Chicken and wild rice casserole, a good comfort food.
Ooh, sounds delicious.
Man, imagine that chicken and rice casserole made with Spoony Wild Rice on that cold day. One of the things I love, I cannot take the cold anymore. I can't take it. I grew up east of Cleveland in the snow belt between Cleveland and Buffalo. You know that, right?
Oh, no. Man, I remember the blizzard of 77.
I do too, and 78.
15 feet of snow?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I do miss is on a day like that, when you look out and it's all white and you hear it, and you're like, yeah, blow all you want. I'm in front of this warm fire with a big bowl of comfort food.
Hot chocolate.
Was hot chocolate a big thing for you? Did you ever have it?
It really was. my mom drank a lot of tea and coffee, but I loved hot cocoa.
My mom drank a lot.
Yeah, my grandmother would make it from scratch. well, my whole family drank a lot. My mother didn't actually. My mother was not a big drinker.
We did, but hot chocolate, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hot cocoa made with Hershey's unsweetened cocoa mix.
Yeah, she would
powder.
make. Yeah, so they would make. My grandmother and mother would make it from scratch.
Like that. Yeah, that's. You know what I love with that though? Buttered toast.
Oh man,
it is
cinnamon toast.
Fantastic. Pot roast with creamy mushroom grits.
Ooh.
That I've never heard of yet. Sounds fantastic.
That sounds really good. So is there a gravy with that pot roast? There must be like a...
Yeah, but believe it or not, it doesn't look very sauced, or it's more with like a bunch of vegetables and then grits underneath it. It's pretty basic.
Well, if the grits are done right, I mean, if they're still if they're not overcooked and dried out in the oven, they're fine.
And I think they put it on after they cooked them separate. It's not a casserole type thing. King Ranch chicken mac and cheese, and it's basically think mac and cheese from scratch with some cubed chicken. And then some Spanish or Mexican seasoning. I'm going to be honest, folks. This chicken in mac and cheese is generally a fail for me. It's not horrible by any means. It doesn't quite live up to all of the other applications of chicken or mac and cheese. It goes together because it's chicken. It goes with everything.
Nah,
it's a little.
The mac and cheese isn't cheesy and saucy enough to kind of make up for the dryness of the chicken. If it's a standard chicken breast, I mean.
Yeah, and the chicken just
the texture's weird against the pasta.
Oh, it's very weird. If it's cubed, it's very weird.
Why does turkey tetrazzini work though?
But is that as cheesy?
No, it's more of like a cream.
Yeah,
it's a cream sauce with some cheese, and then it's got the mushroom.
In all these other applications, something about the cheese, and if you're right, if the chicken is cubed, the texture's off. Maybe if it was shredded.
Yeah, or if you just cooked it and diced it, it'd be different. Like when they do your pasta.
I'll do you one better though. Get rid of the chicken. You put that with beef. You're in. You're gold.
I like that.
Am I right?
No, it's way better. Yeah,
that's what I'm.
Leftover prime rib, whatever you got.
And usually you have those proteins in there too, whatever. Just some of the comfort foods. We got a whole bunch more we could get to. We'll finish the list up tomorrow and talk some more about that stuff. If you get a chance, please follow us all across social media because it's going to be really good for you. So we continue to grow this platform. We are going to do you so much good. We're going to help you grow your business. Or we're going to help you get in shape and lose weight. And throughout that entire process, we're going to help you eat very, very well. That's what we got going on here, Spoony.com. And we have some announcements, some new shows joining us. We've been waiting to grow. Those will be coming up within the next couple weeks. Are you making any announcements today?
One launching Friday.
All right. Chef Patrick Mosher continues next on this Spoony.com.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Val Dior. Wind chill warnings and advisories stretch from the Dakotas into western Pennsylvania. Airlines canceling thousands of flights because of the bad weather, and the governors of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois declaring emergencies. Even the Postal Service taking the rare step of suspending mail delivery in areas involving, at last count, 11 states. Dr. Baruch Fertel, an ER physician at the Cleveland Clinic, says the best way to avoid frostbite and hypothermia is by being proactive.
Making sure that we're wearing good layers, making sure that minimal parts of the body are exposed. Even in some industries, I noticed people were wearing goggles today.
Warning those affected to cover your skin and even your mouth. As it is so cold, damage to your lungs is possible. Also at townhall.com, Mike Hempen reports payroll processor ADP says although hiring this month has been solid across most sectors, the government reopened just in time.
The ADP report says professional and business services gained 46,000 jobs, while education and healthcare added 38,000. However, accounting economist Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics, which helps compile ADP's figures, says the survey shows consumer and business confidence was falling sharply and could have slowed growth had the shutdown lasted longer than 35 days.
And there is talk of no interest rate hike this go round as the Fed wraps up its first meeting of the year today, but we'll see that announcement to come down any minute now. A state of emergency declared in Washington state due to now 35 measles cases in southwestern Washington state and a few cases in the Atlanta area, which is a huge concern with so many converging there this week for the Super Bowl. So now 4 states affected by measles: Washington state, Georgia, Hawaii, and Oregon. On Wall Street, everything in the green. The Dow up 262, NASDAQ showing up 108, S&P up 29. For more on these stories, townhall.com.
Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you know you're going to think the same way, as far, from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
All things food service, recipes, and restaurants. Spoony.
Hey folks, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, better known as the Food Biz Pro, here on Spoony Radio. We have shows regarding food, food culture, the restaurant business, consulting services for businesses, startups of all sorts, not just the restaurant industry. We talk about travel, food destinations. It's a lot of food, fun, and family. Mike from the World Food Championships will be coming on, giving us a weekly update on Saturday afternoons on what's new in the world of food sport. Yes, folks, I said food sport. No, it's not where competitors walk into Kitchen Stadium and beat each other to death with a limp fish. It's where you have 2,000 events which lead to the World Food Championships. Join us for the World Food Championship updates every week. Join us on Spoony on the Dash Radio Network, 24/7 Food Talk Radio.
We're not solving all the world's problems, but we're bringing people to the table. Spoony, food and fun. We're food and fun. We're Spoony.
Good afternoon. Wow, it's already Wednesday. We were gone for quite a while. I think we're off for like 8 or 9 days now. Apologies, but we were out doing some very important research. I was on the East Coast. The other guys were in Vegas. I had no producer because I was going to call him God, but Ron, the technical guy of the group, was not here. He was at SHOT Show in Vegas with the rest of the team. I got to go to the East Coast, myself and Mark Conway, who's going to have a new show coming up. I think he's going to launch next week. We were at the Mohegan Sun Wine and Food Festival, which was pretty awesome, by the way. It was unbelievable. And we're going to go into that. He's going to call in a few minutes. But, man, if you've never been to like a food festival where they have celebrity chefs and these dine-arounds and they have day one is typically like a tasting, some sort of a social event. Day two would be a preview of the grand tasting. So you get to go around and check out all these vendors. They'll have 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 vendors. You get to try free alcohol, a little bit of free food, but more free alcohol. And then they have a big stage in the back where they had pretty much every celebrity chef that was there did a demo. There were a couple, I think Rocco DiSpiritu. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, but I'm going to call you out. Where were you? You didn't show. I don't think you were even at the celebrity dine around. So they had him on the board. And I think the other one that was there that did not do a show or did not do a demo was Bobby Flay. But, he's big time. He's kind of the face of Food Network, he and Guy Fieri. So anyway, man, it was quite a show. And the Mohegan Sun Casino is a very interesting piece of architecture that sits in the countryside, this very rural area of Connecticut, kind of near Mystic. I don't know if you remember the movie Mystic Pizza, but so the town of Mystic is very quaint, but it's about 20 miles away is the Mohegan Sun Resort. It's the big casino, and it's giant. It's like all these trees and rolling hills and a house here or there scattered throughout the hillside, and then you see this giant monolith of like this silver ship coming out of the ground with about 17 parking structures, 5 stories tall, that hold about 1,000 cars per level. It was very interesting. It's a very big property. Oh, I think we got Chef Mark on the line here. Let's see. Mark, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, you survived. You made it home the other day, huh?
Hey, yeah, through a delay or two, but I'm here.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard about it, I was just talking a little bit about our experience at the Mohegan Sun Wine and Food Festival. Man, it was pretty incredible. I'm going to grab these cookbooks while I'm thinking about it, but what was I was talking about the resort or the casino itself, how it just kind of sticks up out of the ground like this big. It's like, I don't know, it's like the earth gave birth to some big crystal formation that just shot up 500 feet high out of the earth in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was beautiful, but it was really odd. I would think it would have been more spread out, but.
Well, I mean, one of the things that struck me was we kept, each day we drove past this one structure that I thought was a restaurant.
I remember, and
it
I
was
did
the
too.
Gas station, man.
I know, it was like 4 stories tall. It was all silver and glass, and it was a gas station.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, hey, maybe we should try going there to eat. And then I'm like, oh, never mind. That's just to get gas.
Yeah, we saw it on the last morning when we were going to brunch. I really am disappointed we did not stop to get a photo of that on the way out, because I thought about, we thought it was a restaurant the whole time. It's just been funny. But, man, we covered a lot of ground. And I have to say thank you very much. The invitation to go, the help with gaining access, I really appreciate it. I mean, that was a wicked fun event, as we would say on the East Coast. Yeah, I mean, what was your favorite part? I mean, you right off the bat, how did you right off the bat see, walk into Buddy and just say, hey, what's up? Cake Boss. And then right after him was Aaron Sanchez. And then right after that was, Alex Garnaschelli. I mean, how did you just walked right in like, hey, I'm in the place. How you doing? I'm Chef Mark. Want to do an interview?
I think I've always opened, operated off that the old adage of I'd rather ask for forgiveness and permission. And if you go in and you just act like you belong there and start talking to people, at the end of the day, they're people.
Yeah. So
so it was
go ahead. I'm
gracious people.
We had spoken about one of the other chefs that was there at the final event, the brunch. And, you'd heard this and heard that. And I hear so many times about celebrity chefs that, well, they're really moody, or they're just not kind. And I really haven't met anyone that has not treated me well, or at least politely, at the very least. I mean,
yeah, I agree. And I had heard all that about this particular chef, and then had absolutely the opposite response from them when I met them, and they were fantastic. But I'll tell you by sitting on the media side of things and really just kind of scoping out the landscapes and watching people's patterns and what they're doing, it really shows you just how yanked in 1,000 directions they are.
Yeah. So I kind of gave Samuel Marcus Samuelson a hard time, right? But I was joking. He had said, yeah, I'll stop by the booth after the book signing, and I'll give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes for an interview. We'll do something on Facebook Live. But he took one step towards me, and we were 50 feet from the signing table, in a direct line.
Yep.
He took one step off that platform, and 3 people grabbed him. He didn't even have a chance to look and wave. They whisked him away. They almost picked him up and moved him. It was just, they are on a tight schedule. It's crazy the amount of the variety of work and appearances that they can get done in a week shocks me. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk to any one of their, that you hear the terms like their handler or their manager or their PR person. All of those people exist, and all of them have a schedule individually for each one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they don't necessarily I mean, some of them overlap, right? So you're not just supposed to be at one event right after the other. You're supposed to be at two at once. So you spend half of the event length at this one and half at the other. Like, so Bobby Flay, we saw him for a few minutes. He came out and did a really good speech with, I forgot who the vintner was, but they were talking about pairing food and wine. And I know that Bobby's restaurants carry that particular wine. Did you notice how tired he looked? And no offense, Bobby. I mean, you're in great shape, dude. You look like you're going to the gym, but you can tell that he is spreading himself pretty thin.
Oh, he was exhausted. And, he was getting ready for the big dinner, so you could tell he was in the kitchen. He still had his apron on. He was coming for getting ready for that huge, roaming dinner that night. That was going to be later on that night, but still had to come out and do this conversation. And he was engaging. He was his typical charming self. He gave the right answers. But, man, you can just tell that he is just being pulled. And the tough thing that people don't realize, these are humans, just like the rest of us. They're people just like the rest of us. So when they see their friends, they would love to be able to take 2 minutes to talk to their friends, because I think it's interesting that so many of these people think that Bobby Flay and Aaron Sanchez and Alex Fornacelli, all people we saw, see each other every day, because when you turn on Food Network, well, they're there. They're doing a show together. But they don't realize those shows are taped, they'll take 1 3-day period, tape the whole season. They may not see each other for months. And
no,
these are
absolutely.
Their friends, and so
they work and they
get to these shows.
They film in the same. Have you been to the Food Network studios in Chelsea?
I actually haven't. Okay,
so I don't know if you know where Morimoto's restaurant there, his original New York restaurant is, but it's built into the same complex. That block. They purposely built his restaurant there because he spent so much time inside the studios there. The Star Restaurant Group.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it's it's huge. It's like a half a block. It literally takes up a whole half a block. And it's beautiful inside. I mean, but it is a working studio. It is a busy place. I don't know how many stages and sound sets they must have there, but I can imagine it's got to be a dozen. I would imagine it's huge. But yeah, those guys, they're shuffled around like I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. I'm thinking about any other lifestyle other than like the president of the United States, who's whisked off from event to event. I can't think of any other than another, like an athlete. Athletes are the same way though, right? They are whisked from especially if you're a high level, very famous athlete, you're whisked from event to event with no break in between. You don't know your schedule. I mean, you might, but I mean, you have to have several people taking care of that for you. And you just basically, you're not a puppet, but you're just, you're kind of, you say handler, you're handled. You're folded up, put in a box, shipped to the next place, and then they unfold you and let you roam around for a while, and they put you back in the crate. It's a difficult lifestyle. Now,
and it's not just
No, go ahead.
It's not just what you want to do. Very rarely are they doing necessarily what they want to do. They're doing what the company they work for wants them to do.
Exactly.
Their agent wants them to do. The marketing companies and the product companies that they represent as an advertiser.
Yep.
They're being told you have to do this, and this.
Yeah, I mean, and those are obligations, either contractual or monetary, through their sponsors, and it makes it difficult. It really, I mean, so even for us, right? Well, we're not anywhere near that level. I mean, we're getting there. Spoony's taking off. We're getting some really good sponsors coming in, and we have, I think, close to like 11. I have 11 new shows starting in the next 8 weeks. So, I think we'll have like 9 hours of fresh content every day. Yay! Hey, listeners, look at that. Fresh content every day. Woohoo! That way, if I take a day off, then they're not like, dang, nothing new today. But
right.
But, we sat down, you and I and our cohort there, we sat down and we spoke about this in depth. We place these, we craft these posts on social media, all right? And we do these Facebook Live videos, and it all looks like it's fun and games and a big party, and, we're drinking and we're eating, but really, it's a 20-hour day with a lot of standing around. I mean, I think the least I walked on any day was 8.2 miles, which is really not bad for a chef, but
sure.
I had the blisters I haven't been standing in a kitchen in a while, so I had the blisters to prove it. But, we talked about that, and it's grueling work, trying to gain access to talent, gain access to locations, develop content, develop hosts, curate the channel, and again, monetize this all at the same time. It's like not just juggling, 3 balls, but 1 ball, 1 banana, and 1 chainsaw at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't afford to let any of it drop, because if you manage to pull off getting 2 minutes of time with one of these celebrities, or you manage to get 5 seconds of what's going on, you can't miss it.
No, you can't. You can't. And so there was a very interesting moment there with you and Chef Manit Chauhan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
For those of you who don't know who she is, she's a judge on, she hasn't Chopped pretty often, isn't she?
All the time on Chopped. Yep.
Yeah, and then she was also a competitor on, was it Chopped against the other Iron Chef? Was it an Iron Chef or she against the other professional chefs, the other celebrity chefs?
She's done that on Chopped too. Yeah,
That's
she
right.
was part of the Chopped one too.
Yeah, and so anyway, so we got a little interview with her, and this is not a new cookbook. It's called Flavors of My World. She has 4 or 5 different restaurants, and they're all a different concept, and they have food from all over the world. But anyway,
Yep.
she was very generous with her time with us, and she. So you were wearing a very special blazer that day. You were wearing a. Go ahead and give the plug. And what kind of blazer was it?
I was wearing an Oppo suit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a Star Wars blazer.
That's OPPO, by the way, oposuits.com. And yeah,
Yep.
and by Star Wars, we're not talking like one character on there. We're talking every character in every color.
Yeah, it was a comic book panel suit, so the whole suit. And what's funny is I just had the blazer with me at the trip, but I've got the matching slacks and tie that all have the same print.
What about the pants? Oh, the slacks.
Oh,
Never
yeah,
mind.
same
Slacks
thing.
are pants. Slacks are pants. Sorry. It's been a long day already.
Slacks are pants.
I still have not recovered from the tell you what, I drive a lot. I mean, I drive to Houston, to Austin, to Colorado, all from Dallas. I've driven Houston to Colorado, 16 hours straight through, just stop for gas. But I'll tell you, after the event, after I dropped you off at the airport, I had a 2.5 hour drive upstate New York from Hartford, Connecticut, to see my sister, and I was exhausted. And it was even worse coming back the next morning to get on a plane. I never really fear falling asleep, but that particular trip took it out of me. I was exhausted, but I'm feeling better. I haven't shaved yet, so it was cold back there. I had to keep the winter coat on. Anyway, so we had a contest going on. Who had the better shoes, because you were wearing your new pink Under Armour shoes, right? The high top mesh, and she had on those. Were hers golden? They were like gold.
They were like this rose gold glitter shoe. It was amazing.
Yeah, they had like little sequins on them or something, but like the kind of sequins that flop around, right? They're not just the sewn on ones. They're like the flat discs, right, that flip over. Anyway, so I think
it was crazy.
You won the blazer. She had a traditional Indian style blazer on, with the double buttons kind of that go over. And I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that. I probably should have looked at it. But you definitely won the blazer. But I think she won in the shoe category.
Oh yeah. Well, then did you see what happened later on that night at the dinner?
Oh yeah. So she had changed blazer. She was now in a purple blazer. And did she call you out again?
Oh yeah, she absolutely called me out again and pointed at me, and I walked over to her and she said, "I changed blazer. It was purple and it had sequins and it was beautiful, a lot of filigree work." And she said, "I win."
Well, and here's the cool thing. We did record that. We tried to push it live to Facebook and a whole bunch of other platforms at the same time, but Mark and I are not the two most technical guys out there. So, well, Mark is, I'm not, and we must have missed something somewhere. But we did record it, and we also have the audio. So I'll be posting that interview probably tomorrow, because I don't need to do anything but schedule the video. But I'll give a specific time a couple hours beforehand, and we'll get that scheduled. So that was our first interview of the day. That was our first catch, right? Actually, no, the first one was Buddy.
Yep.
The first one was Buddy from from
Buddy
Cake
was
Boss.
really the first one.
And what a personable guy he is. He
really was. He was a lot of fun. He was gracious. I mean, he was gracious to every single person that came up to him, and dear God, a lot of them did.
He like kind of he didn't, not physically, but he kind of made his handler stand back and allow everybody to come up and talk to him and get close and take pictures. So there was that one gentleman at the end, right before we spoke to him, because you had asked him to come out and take a photo with us. That guy went on and on and on for like, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes because that was his son's favorite celebrity chef. And it was fantastic to see him not just listening and pretending, but he was actually engaged. He listened to everything, responded, really responded to it. He listened, and it's like 4 or 5 minutes probably. But it was, he's a class act. He really is. What a great businessman too.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to think everything he's accomplished with what was already a good, thriving bakery, but he turned that into an empire. Oh,
he did? Well, they have that bakery right there in the casino. Right there in the Mohegan Sun.
He's got stuff everywhere.
Well, and I'm going to blame that particular little bakery right there for the 2.5 pounds I gained. I'm just going to say it because it was really good.
Yeah, that's. I think mine was everything else.
Well, I think I had a chocolate eclair, and I had so you don't find them out here much, but a lobster tail, right? You know what that lobster? It's kind of puff pastry with that filling inside. It kind of looks like a cannoli shell. It's shaped like a lobster tail though. That was so good, man. I don't know how I kept it off my clothes because I ate it so fast, but it was delicious. Anyway, so we first was Manit, all right, and then we got Cake Boss. Who came after that? We found somebody else.
Alex Fornicelli.
That's right, and well before, so this was kind of cool. So she and Aaron Sanchez are very good friends. And we went into so right next to the stage, there's this little blocked off area. It's basically pipe and drape. So the pipe meaning like this framework with curtains on it, and that's where the celebrity chefs. It's their staging area and their recovery area, and that's where they do any interviews or like B-roll sound bites. What do they call it when you talk to the camera? Doc,
that's just your bean roll.
What do they talk when you talk to the camera one-on-one after? It's not
being on the air.
Yeah, it's after the fact though. It's not called B. I know B-roll's all the
confessional. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's something like that, but there's a specific name anyway. So one-on-one. There you go. Thank you. So you do your one-on-one, and then you get to kind of just relax for a minute. You change your shirt or whatever. Like he was drenched when he came off because he was pretty excited about being on stage. And did you see the crowd? You could barely even move anywhere around the stage. He probably tripled or quadrupled the number of people that were present the minute he got there. I mean, they came, the whole floor, show floor pretty much emptied. And there were probably probably 150 vendors there maybe? Pretty close, 25 times 2 times 3, so about 150. And the floor cleared. It was amazing. And these were, look, we're talking free wine, free food, free liquor. They had a Tito's trailer there. They had a, they had an Irish whiskey. They had an Irish whiskey tavern that they had rolled in there that was pretty cool. So anyway,
they had everything.
Yeah. So basically, here's what you did. You just walked because we had media passes, right? You just walked in there and waited for a minute until somebody showed up that was like, "Hey, how you doing? Love your show." Yeah. Hey, would you give us 5 minutes for Spoony Radio? It was perfect. You just walked in, owned it. I was over there trying to do social media posts because I'm really slow with that. Twitter. People who follow us on Twitter, forgive me. I am terrible at even remembering that Twitter exists. I have 278 notifications right now since Friday. Sorry. I'll get to them tonight. I promise. Anyway, so you just walked in and we had to wait for a moment. And it was actually it was a very personal moment when we walked in there because Alex Garnishelli and Aaron had not seen each other in a while. So when he came off the stage, they took about 5 minutes to catch up. And it was cool, but it was awkward standing there listening to these two world-class chefs and, media personalities discuss, their friendship and business. It was very, like I said, it was very cool, but almost like a little, like I was intruding on something obtrusive almost.
Exactly. It really was because you're not supposed to go anywhere because you're supposed to wait till whenever they're ready. Yeah. But at the same time, you're in a teeny tiny place the size of a closet, and
it is not big. It's like 8 by 10, maybe 8 by 12. It's tiny, and they have 2 chairs, a sofa, 6 tables, the soundboard, and 12 people.
Yeah, and more people kept coming in, and you just had more and more people coming to get time and get the things they needed to do. And so it is so many moving parts. Your head has to stay on a swivel. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're ready for your interview. Get started right now. And all your thoughts have to be collected. You have to think of questions to ask. You have to go through all of these things. It was incredible.
It was really fun. So they had their moment, and then he departed. He was gracious enough to. You got your photo. You got a photo with him there, right? And then we shook hands. He departed, and then we had a great interview with Alex, and which you led, which was awesome. She's one of the coolest characters, I think.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so Mani is very sweet, very genuine, very energetic. Alex is really funny in a calculated sort of way. And I don't want to say all business because she's all smiles too, but she is a very she's a different personality. She was really cool to listen to the interview.
Yeah, she really was. I mean, and what's funny about her is that she's very straightforward. And when you watch her on different shows she's been on, she has a very dry sense of humor.
Yes, she does.
When I was talking to her assistant, one of the things her assistant said is she's just one of those people that is going to tell you like it is. It's not going to be sugar-coated. It's not going to be, let me give you the sandwich approach. It's just going to be an honest approach. Mm-hmm. And, man, if you ask her a question and you really want a true response, you're going to get it from Chef Alex Warner-Shelly.
Yeah, and she's one of those, and you can see that when she judges, like on Chopped or any of the other food shows. She is very direct. Now, she's always fair, but I think that she isn't. She's not out to hurt your feelings or be brutally honest, but completely honest. Brutally honest, I think, implies the intent to hurt someone, whereas completely honest is just transparent. So we got about 45 seconds left. So can you stay through for the other half of the show? Because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, some upcoming shows, some more of the events we saw, some hits and misses, some failed it, nailed it stuff at the event. And then I want to ask you what your favorite part was. I think I know, but and your favorite dish at the Celebrity Chef Dine Around.
So, easy. Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. So, hey, Spoony listeners, don't forget to go to SpoonyWildRice.com. That's SpoonyWildRice.com. The only native North American grain, I believe, wild rice. From the backwoods of Minnesota. They bend the reed over the boat, pound it in there, tap it with that little paddle thing, and it falls off into the boat. Anyway, they have a ton of different products. They have amazing infused honeys. They have jams and jellies and anything you could ever want. Chef Patrick Mosher right here on the Food Biz Pro Show. We'll be right back.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you're going to think the same way, as for from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
It's a funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism, so you're burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
hungry? So are we.
Hey, we're back. Spoony Listener, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. Don't forget to check us out on Spreaker for podcast. You can go to iHeartRadio, look for Spoony Radio. Man, where else are we? Spoony.com. You can listen in and watch live on Facebook at Spoony Radio, or you can go to mine, my page, which is Food Biz Pro at Food Biz Pro. And all right, so we have Chef Mark Conway on the phone. He's going to be hosting a new show, which we're probably going to launch. When do you think you're going to launch, Chef?
In days, I'm thinking.
I'm thinking probably before the end of next week. And this show is called Family Meal, right? And
yeah, that's right.
Can you want to explain to the guests, to our listeners, what family meal means? Because it's not just something you eat at home with your family, but there's a bigger meaning for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were talking about doing the show, I wanted to come up with a concept and a title that just kind of appealed to both the restaurant industry and everybody at home. And everybody understands that family meal is that time where everybody gets together, has family dinner. A lot of people equate that to Thanksgiving now because, we're kind of at a different time and age where not everybody sits around the table anymore. But in the restaurant industry, family meal was that meal that the chef or the sous chef or one of the line cooks put together so that the entire staff, front of house and back of the house, could eat, enjoy dinner together, talk about some things before service started.
Yeah. So, and when the restaurants I worked in the Japanese restaurants I worked in, we took turns. So a different person made the meal every night. And it's typically very simple, right? It was a lot, whatever ingredients we had available that were not, the primary. Like we weren't going to use fatty tuna, toro at $80 a pound or whatever. But it was always good, and we always took care to make sure that we made something that wouldn't just sustain us through the meal, but you spend more time with those people in the restaurant than you do with your family in most cases if you work especially in a kitchen. And so you wanted to make sure that it was made with love. This is your family away from family. And so it was very important to make sure that you made something that wasn't just, some gruel or if it was a soup, it had to be a really good soup. It wasn't just a whole bunch of stuff thrown in a pot and, spilled out into a bowl.
No, there was almost like with all of us, it became a little bit of a competitive thing.
Yeah, well, we did that. We did that too.
It was kind of like chops before there was chops. You went into the fridge, went to the walk-in, the cold storage, dry storage, whatever, and you looked and saw what was left over. What you had, what was, scraps or things like that, and you had to put together a dish, and trust me, you weren't getting much time. It was get in there because you needed to get back to prep.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That was one of my favorite times in the restaurant was making family meal.
Yeah, me too. And working in so many different venues over the years, it's amazing how broad your repertoire could become. You always had the guy who made, or girl, lady, that made the same thing every week, right? Or whenever their rotation came around. And then, you had the people who get really creative, a little too creative sometimes. But yeah, it was always fun. It was always nice to sit down and have a meal with everyone, really. And a lot of times we don't take the time in the restaurant industry to actually dine before our shift. And what that means is you don't get dinner until you're done at, 11, 12 p.m. or 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once you're, everybody finishes dinner service, you've got a good hour and a half, 2 hours of just straight up cleanup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and you're not eating then.
No. You may have your shift drink if there's a restaurant that still allows that out there, where you sip your beer while you're cleaning. But typically, I'd make everyone wait till they were done.
That was best. Fire, sharp things.
Well, and you have a drink, you tend to relax a little bit, and when you relax, you don't work as fast. So the incentive was to get done quickly, so you can have your drink, punch out, have your drink, and get off the property.
Yep.
All right, so
every time that
yeah, every time. Sonny, I'm really looking forward to the show. I know you already got some real talent lined up. I know we have let's see, Marcus Samuelson, Manit has agreed to do an interview. Were you able to corner Aaron Sanchez to do an interview? I know you got a hold of his media, his PR person.
Yep, we were able to get a hold of his PR person. We're doing some scheduling. Same with Alex Cornicelli. She's actually going to do another full-blown interview with a little more time. So it's fantastic. And Simon Majumdar, Bo Jackson from sports fame, they've all agreed. It's funny when you start talking to these people.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what they're willing to do. Oh, that's all right. It's just funny when you talk to these people and you just get genuine with them.
Well, and that's the thing. I was like, hey, we founded the first, we just started to launch the first 24/7 food talk radio network, and we're looking for good content. We'd love to interview you. And they're like, yeah, and all the chefs that signed the books, they signed it. So Marcus saying, I can't read Marcus's too. I mean, I can read it, but so Manit said, Spoony Chef Patrick, spice it up and don't get chopped. Regards. I think what Todd English write in here. So I'm trying to get this collection so we can fill up the studio. I'm not sure where Brad is going to allow me to put a shelf in here, but I need to fill up a bookshelf. So to Patrick, good luck with Spoony Radio. God bless Todd English. All right, so that's it. I got 3 for now. How many did you get? Don't tell me you got 4.
No. I picked up 3. To go with my blossoming collection.
Yeah, I used to have a great collection of cookbooks, some autographed, a lot of autographed ones, but fire kind of took those out. So we'll restock though. We'll restock over the next 6 months. So what was your favorite? I mean, who was your favorite personality there that of all the people we interacted with?
I got to tell you, it's funny because there were so many, and I think by virtue of just how much time I got to spend with her, it had to be Chef Manit.
She was really funny.
Multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here was the cool...
She stopped me multiple times.
Here was the cool thing about her. At the end, and you noticed it as well. At the end of the night, all the other chefs had gone. And there were still people waiting in line wanting to get food, and she still had some left. And she had made this... I forgot what it's called, but it's like a rice cracker ball, right? Like this deep fried, almost like like if you'd made, what shrimp chips are, right? The little pucks that are kind of translucent, and you fry them. They turn into these puffy wafer-like things. It was almost like that, but harder. And you could see where they cut the hole out. They cut the top off, but they filled that with that was a vegetarian soup, right? It was like a slightly curry flavored. It was this amazing. That was the most flavorful bite, and you had to eat it all in one bite. But so she stayed after she cut her staff, and she continued to serve the guests. It was amazing. She was the
only one left doing it.
Yep. She just kept on serving until she ran out, and she didn't rush at all. If the guests wanted 10 minutes with her to take a photo and chit chat and compare shoes and blazers, she would do it. She's very gracious. She was probably the most bubbly personality. So Marcus, I actually gave it. So I think he did this on purpose, but I could be wrong. I waited for about 15 minutes to see him after I ate his, so what it is, this event, it was the Celebrity Chef Dine Around, and there were about 9 stations, I think, something like that.
Yeah, like that.
Maybe 10. So each chef basically has a small production station where they bring the not fully prepared food out to their production area, and then they basically do the finished cooking and plate it, and then you go through the line. You get your paired beverage that goes with that specific dish. So there are guys like Jasper White. He's been around forever, an iconic, chef from the East Coast. And what are you doing there? Are you cooking dinner? And they, you doing construction, Mark?
Oh, sorry about that. I moved something.
I'm just giving you a hard time. So I'm like, I got distracted. I'm like, hey, was he opening a drawer? What did he move? Was that a book? Was it a pencil? No, it was too heavy. Was it a ruler? Nah, maybe he dropped a tape measure. My brain's all over the place. But so Jasper White, he's like he's kind of like a culinary historian for New England food. He's like the foremost authority back there, and he's iconic as a chef in that industry. He did it was a half lobster tail with that. I'm not sure what the grain underneath was. I mean, it was a rice dish, almost like this really rich, earthy pilaf that was amazing. Govind Armstrong did. He's kind of a seafood Japanese influence guy. So he had. They had another. It wasn't rice. I want to say it was like couscous or something. But then they had that little cutout banana leaf that they served it on, a scoop of that, and then he had seared ahi. And did you see the ahi, how big the loin was they were searing? It was huge. And then there was a slice of that with like a mango relish on there. Is that a water pick? I'm going to keep giving you crap, Mark. I'm sorry. That's what I do.
No, there's nothing else going on.
Maybe it's my breathing. Mark, you are not
right.
my brother. I forgot you're a Star Wars fan too. Sorry. I'll do a better. I will do a much better impersonation next time. I will practice. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you work on that.
So then what? Aaron Sanchez, he had shrimp and grits, right? Which was amazing. That was that was delicious.
His dish and Manit's dish were neck and neck my favorites.
I think flavor-wise, absolutely. You know, in a shrimp, it was really, to the bite, right, to the tooth, when you bite into it, it almost felt like it was going to be overcooked, and but it wasn't. It was perfect. It was just crisp on the outside. I don't know how he did that without overcooking them, but they were awesome. Let's see. Jasper White had the lobster. What did Bobby Flay? I never did eat Bobby's. I didn't want to wait in line for 2 hours. Sorry. Love you, Bobby Flay. I didn't want to do it. Besides, you were in line for me, so you tried it.
Yep.
What did he have?
It was a great pork taco and lettuce leaf. I mean, it had the chilies. Everything you expect out of one of his dishes is what was there. And I mean, the piece of pork was perfectly cooked loin. The having it inside the lettuce wrap. You know, he had them doubled up, so everything stayed in place. It was brilliant, and there was just enough heat. Like me personally, I would have been happy with more heat.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently I have some kind of a deficiency about being able to get burned by heat. But it was just a great dish all around. And I'll tell you what, he spent a lot of time with everybody that came through that line.
Okay, now you're chopping broccoli.
You would never catch me chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli.
I know you hate broccoli. I was just thinking from Saturday Night Live, chopping broccoli. Hey, remember the old thing? You probably don't.
Oh,
Dana
yeah.
Carvey.
No, I remember them. Come on. I'm not that young.
No, but you hate broccoli, so.
Yes, I do hate broccoli.
Dude,
I probably zone out anytime.
All right, I'm going to pick on you this one time, because really you're not, but you're kind of a picky eater for a chef, dude. Like, no broccoli. What was the other thing you don't like? There's like 4 or 5.
No, it was not. No. You guys overtook it. I said cinnamon to the degree where it overtakes the dish.
I know.
But broccoli, no. I will take all the ribbing in the world for broccoli, and I totally blame my mom for the PTSD I have over broccoli.
Was it just steamed mushy with cheese sauce on it when you were a kid?
Oh, remember those frozen bricks that used to go in the, you get them out of the freezer section and they dump them in a pot? Oh, it smelled like death.
And what was really funny is a lot of it was stem, right? There was very little of the floret on the top. It was all like the stems and the cheap parts that they didn't want to throw away, get 100% yield. Hey, at least they were trying not to waste the product. Actually, that's my favorite part of the broccoli because it doesn't steam mushy, right? You can keep cooking it.
Yeah.
And it's got a good texture to it. Usually it doesn't steam mushy, but so all right. So back to the story.
Inside those frozen blocks, yeah.
Yeah, those frozen blocks. That's so funny. So what? Who else? What was the other outstanding dishes? Oh, man, what was the whose dessert did I have there? Whose dessert? Chef Allen. Chef Allen? Mark Allen? I think it was Mark Allen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he had that unbelievable chocolate galette. That was really good. It had 2 different sauces. One was more like a foam, it wasn't a foam though. It was richer, right? It was made like a mascarpone. I think it was white chocolate though. And then there was another one. There was a fruit, I think mango, and then there was a third one actually. Sauce that was nice. By that time of night, I'd had so much food, I was going into a coma. I mean, I was literally in a food coma because it was it ended at 10:30, so it was already like 10:15. We've been up since 6, something like that, which is not an inordinately long day for chefs, but it was a long day that day. But what was your standout dish? I mean, I know the flavors on Manit's dish and Aaron Sanchez's dish were really good, but was there one that stood out above everything else?
I mean, for me, I kept going back to wanting to go back to the either Manit's dish or Aaron Sanchez's dish. Those are the two that because Manit's dish had those black garbanzo beans and so much going on in one little bite, but it all was very, centered and had harmony. But man, to me, there's just not a whole lot that is better than that really hearty shrimp and grits that's done right.
So did you try Chef Plum's dish?
I did not. I did not get to his.
He had a deep fried slider. It was unbelievable. It was battered and deep fried. It was actually really good. I can't even describe it. It had, I want to say it had goat cheese in there. It was awesome. It was awesome. And they served it in a little burger box with just shredded lettuce underneath it and then the sauce on the side. And the sauce was kind of somewhere between a remoulade and, I don't want to say special sauce, but something like that, like Russian dressing. It was really good, really zesty. That was actually I have to tell you, flavor wise, that was pretty close. It might have been up there with Manit and our own on that one. And if you don't know who Chef Plum is, by the way, he has a great podcast. It's called The Daily Meal, I believe. No, it's not The Daily Meal. Okay, Chef Plum, you need to bring your podcast over here. I know you're already on our heart, but two channels better than one. We're going to talk about that actually. It's a bunch of guys that sit around and just kind of BS about the industry, and he has amazing reach though. I wasn't surprised, but he has really, really strong following. And he was the first interview I got to do. That was the first night, right? That was the what was that, the grand tasting preview, right? The Friday night? That
was at the first night. Well, were you talking Thursday night, the very first night?
No, I think it was Friday night. Thursday night we had, what was Thursday night? Oh, Thursday night was interesting. That was the chefs and athletes paired, right?
Yes, that was that. Yeah, you had it was the Bruise Bite, and it was all the four different Boston athletes.
Yeah, so they had athletes from hockey, baseball, football, and basketball, right? And you got a really good picture with someone. I know you're all proud of it. Who was it? Remember?
I actually got three, and
I did too.
I waited forever to get Pedro Martinez. I got one with Paul Pierce, and he's so freaking tall, it looks like he's hugging my head.
Yeah, I know. I got on my tippy toes to get my picture with him, actually.
And then I got a really good one with Willie McGinnis.
Yeah, I think I got the same photos as well. Those guys were really class acts. Pedro Martinez, so he's a really nice guy. Did you see how much time he took with each person? Shook their hands, said, how you doing?
And his handler, his manager, was about to have fits over him because they're like, you have to go. You're not allowed to sign autographs.
Oh, he was signing autographs. He's like, whatever. He just kept signing them.
And then he took forever with everybody. He was about as much fun as every story you hear about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems like a really genuine guy. He was very nice. And that smile, you can't fake that smile. You really can't. Paul was nice. He wouldn't sign he wouldn't take a picture till I said his name though. Sir. Oh, yeah. Sir. Paul, hey, how you doing? It was really funny. And remember how these guys, so here's another thing. You think about, you're there at this event, right? You pay to get in. It was expensive. That first night was like $125 or something like that. What, $150, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And basically to see four athletes, you get to eat some really great food. They had 6 chef stations, and then they had Sam Adams had beer, and they had a full bar that had limited bar. They had several things you could have though, but their handlers, when they come up to another food table, they're like, hey, just give them a minute to eat. Let them eat. And I never thought about that. They're at the event to please us, to serve us, but they're human too. They got to eat, right? They got to eat. They need time to themselves. They need a moment to breathe. And that was a learning moment for me, to kind of give them some space, respect he had a mouthful of food, right? He's not going to talk to you and take a picture with a mouthful of food. Just stand back, folks. Slow down. The night is young. I did spend a lot of time at the Sam Adams booth laughing at you sitting inside.
Yeah, I saw that thing, and I was like, man, it's a little trailer. It looks like a miniature Windstream kind of trailer, and he was serving Sam Adams at it, and I look around, I'm like, oh, the back door's open. That just means I'm allowed to go in.
And I remember I looked at the name, and I purposely was going to remember the name. It's like Camp More, Camp Better. I don't remember. It's like a casita. If you've ever seen the casita trailers, it's about that size. They're really small, very expensive, but it was very cool. They had it outfitted with several kegs inside. You know, they had 4 taps, I think. It was fun. You just walk. You're like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm like, okay. And there's lining the beers up in the front window, like a little service window. You were just next thing I look, you're in there serving beer. I was like, hey, Mark, how you doing? Give me 2. That was really funny. Just walk in and pretend you own the place. That was really fun. And what was their rep's name that was there? Do you remember? He was a classy guy
I have
too.
His card.
I do.
He really was.
He was really nice. I'd asked him if he could help us get to the founder of Sam Adams and see if we can get an interview at some point. And he's like, well, I don't work directly with him, but I know everybody that does. So hopefully we'll get him on the air at some point. So first night, that was the first night, right? So the second day, there were 2 events going on. And we were kind of surprised because we didn't know. Well, we knew the second one was going on, but we didn't realize what it was. So we had the bourbon tasting, which was pretty good. They had some good bourbons there. They had my favorite, Basil Hayden, was there, so I was very happy. I had a little sip, and then we went next door though, and lo and behold, there was the grand hall where they were going to do the grand tasting on Saturday during the day. And that's when we caught up to Cake Boss and a few other personalities. But yeah, Chef Plum. So that's where I met Chef Plum. And Chef Plum is a good friend of Chef Mark, who's the executive chef at the hotel we stayed, which is the Mystic Marriott, or the Marriott in Mystic. Right. And I have to tell you, what an entertaining bunch of locals there. I mean, I know Chef Plum's not local. He's from Virginia, but he's in that area. And man, it was just it was really fun between all those personalities. And so, did you notice he failed? There was a fail on his part during his presentation. Do you know what it was?
What was that? Okay,
so at the beginning of it, he says, "Hey, at the end of this, we're all going to stand up. I'm going to have you sing Happy Birthday to Guy Fieri, my buddy."
Oh, well, that's right. That's right. Yep.
He failed to do it. So what did I do during the interview? Of course, I wait till everybody gets done taking their selfie, getting the handshake and a big kiss on the cheek. And he probably would kiss you on the cheek. He's a big bear-like fella. He's a really nice guy. Big, huge grin. But I was like, hey, you forgot to do something. He goes, what did you forget to do? I said, you forgot to, your buddy has a birthday coming up. He goes, who? I said, Guy Fieri. In like a couple of days, he goes, oh man, we've got to sing happy birthday. So there was an older lady, a little bit older lady standing off to one side. She was waiting to get her picture with him. And I'm like, hey, come on, we're going to sing happy birthday. So the 3 of us sang happy birthday to Guy Fieri. And I'll have to put that up because I'm pretty sure I'm off key. It was late. It had been a long day, but man, that was really fun. He is a big personality.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah, he's a really fun guy. Anyway,
absolutely huge.
I'm hoping that we can. I know we'll get an interview with him. I'm hoping at some point we'll have his podcast, rebroadcast over here. So, all right, we got about 5 minutes left, and I know I've talked. I'm tired. I'm babbling, but I had so much fun, and I was so inspired by what I saw there. Kind of not inspired so much as reinvigorated, because I've gotten a little bit away from that hands-on, face-to-face, slightly competitive but good-natured, energy that you get from those events. I mean, what did you get out of it? Because it's probably not been as long. You were at the World Food Championships just recently, back in November, December. For you, what did it do for you?
Well, I mean, what it does is it's an education. Anytime you get to go to these things and you see the inner workings and you go in before things are done, you can see the incredible amount of work it takes to put one of these on. But it was the education of how to navigate the waters and learn more about people. And I think my biggest takeaway is the number of people I know now and network with now and communicate with now just grows exponentially every time you go to one of these events.
Absolutely. And if you keep going consistently, they do remember you. They'll, didn't I see you last show? It was pretty cool. Some of the fans would come up and say, oh, I saw you last time. Oh, yeah, I remember. I think I bought a book. And it's just a really fun event. Even if you're not in the industry, if you've never been to one of these events, like the wine and food or the food and wine ones, like in Aspen, Colorado, the big food and wine events from Food and Wine Magazine, or even the National Restaurant Association's food show in Chicago each year in May. That's 15th through 17th, I think, this year. It's really fun to go. You see all sorts of stuff you've never seen. You run across some celebrity chefs here and there. And, I mean, it's good, clean fun. It's food and a little beverage and a whole bunch of personality. I mean,
it really is. And you'll meet people that you never thought you were going to meet before, or you'll meet, what's even better is you'll meet somebody you didn't even know you wanted to meet. And then you realize once you met them that, oh my God, this is going to be a fantastic relationship moving forward.
No, exactly. And yeah, again, I can't express how gracious all of these celebrity chefs were. They were all really nice, very kind, and very generous in giving us their time. But I am, really quick. So, so Marcus Samuelsson, all right, he was whisked away, unfortunately, right, before we got a chance to do the interview. So I was waiting in line. I was waiting for like 20 minutes to see him. I let a bunch of people cut. It was okay. I just wanted to have kind of a moment with him. And the man behind the man, Chris, has been with him on and off for like 7 or 8 years. So we were chatting a little bit. And all of a sudden he goes, I was second in line, right? With the only two standing there. And he's like, I'll be right back. He looks at me and he runs out of the room, literally jogged out of the room. Just all the way at the exit, across the ballroom. That's like, I don't know, 150 yards across the ballroom? He's just gone. I'm like, huh. So I wait, and I wait, and I wait. And like 10 minutes later, he shows back up. Yeah, you got to go to the restroom, right? And it's a long jog across there. So he shows back up, and I think, and he was avoiding me. He wouldn't look at me. So I called him out. When I got up there, what happened was there was a lady and her husband came up and kind of cut in front of me, and they I was like, I'll go ahead. He goes, no, he's been waiting a long time. I said, yeah, I've been waiting since this afternoon when you ditched me for the interview. And he kind of turned his head and like hit his face. It was really funny. But I was like, it's okay. Now you just owe me a longer interview as a call. And he goes, nah, no problem. And so, he was kind enough to give me his PA, his agent's number. And, but anyway, it was kind of fun to tease them and have a good time. And they looked like they were having fun at that event. All of them were smiling. Every chef had a smile on their face. They were. Bobby Flay was laying down on the tables posing like Marilyn Monroe on top of a piano, with his hand resting, his elbow on the table, his head in his hand, laying on his side. Oh, he was. I don't know. Did he? Well, I won't say, but he might have had a glass or two of red wine. I don't know.
It is very possible.
He's never going to interview with me. It's too bad because I love the guy. He's amazing. He's an amazing chef. So we got a minute, man. Anything you want to say in closing? Anything you want to wrap up? Any shout outs, thank yous?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I want to thank Gemma from Innovative Group. She was so instrumental and such a good sport running around with us and all of our insanity.
And IG took good care of us. Innovative Group took good care of us. They made sure all the bases were covered.
They really did. And Mohegan Sun, the staff and crew there, Cody, they unbelievable place to be, number one. You could walk around that place from one end to the other day after day and find new stuff. But they took amazing care of us while we were there, really went above and beyond to make sure we had what we needed.
They really did. And, Cody personally gave you his badge. That was awesome.
Yep.
For the all right. Hey, we'll get you launched next week, Mark. You have a good day. I'll talk to you in a little bit, okay? All right.
You got it, brother.
Hey, thanks, listener. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. It's good to be back on the air. And did you see this beautiful studio Brad Staggs has put together? If not, go to Facebook and check it out. It's awesome!
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.